I'm William. I'm co-founder of Vela Ventures and the team behind Beacon. So Beacon or Beacon Wallet first went live at the very sort of end of February this year. So it's been on the App Store for iOS for about three and a half months now. Our initial goal was to just build the most usable and secure custody solution possible for the Arweave and AO ecosystem. So we went live with support, obviously, for Arweave and AO, but additionally to that, we also went live with smart accounts, which are a sort of safe wallet-inspired smart contract running on AO, which brings native multi-sig support for AO and Arweave, but alongside just simple multi-sig, unlike traditional multi-sig solutions like threshold wallets or MPC wallets, it also allows us to do a lot of really exciting things, such as having DeFi connections to different protocols, whether it's DEXs or lending protocols. You can adjust both the signers and the thresholds, which is not traditionally possible with kind of any of these other multi-sig solutions. You can have hardware wallets as signers. In future, with the web request capabilities of AO smart contracts and some of the confidential compute stuff, which we're very excited to get our hands on, there'll be natively cross-chain, which means these processes can sign and submit transactions via RPC nodes for other networks. And also, one thing we're really excited about, especially sort of in the AO space with the future of agent finance, and we think is a really important step to the adoption of a lot of these products and services, is the ability to have a shared multi-sig wallet with an agent, right? So instead of fully handing over custody of your assets to an agent or whatever kind of product or service you may be using, you'll be able to share essentially a multi-sig wallet so it can go off and perform whatever actions or transactions it wants to do, but still require a level of human approval from yourself or co-workers, etc. So that kind of leads me on to how we're thinking about the future of Beacon in terms of a sort of cross-chain platform powered by AO. A lot of the issues that we kind of see and friction points in DeFi generally is extremely fragmented, especially across chains. All of these networks are incredibly isolated. Unlike AO, there's no ability to kind of make web requests or communicate cross-chain. And so that leads to products and services essentially not being able to offer secure cross-chain products and things like that. So I think because of the isolation and the inability for any of these smart contract platforms to communicate with other smart contract platforms, you end up with the current state of the art for cross-chain infrastructure that we have today, which if you've ever sort of worked on any of these cross-chain products, you'll realize and understand is a complete nightmare. I think one of the really good examples of this, and I was speaking to a sort of someone who's very keen on the Infinex product a couple of weeks ago, and they were explaining to me that no, Infinex has a fantastic cross-chain bridge or whatnot, and I sort of pulled up the bridge and I went through a bridge with him, and I bridged some ETH to Solana, and my Ethereum went into not even a smart contract. It just went into a dev-controlled wallet with about $15 million of user assets in it. And the Solana I received on the other end was exactly the same. And this is because there's just a technical limitation on all of these existing sort of smart contract platforms. And things that we're hoping certain features of AO, like the web requests and confidential compute, will be able to solve for DeFi users in the future. And I think a lot of these problems, juggling all these different DEXs and lending protocols and bridges and gas tokens, are some of the main reasons why users are pushed or drawn to centralized services like FTX and Coinbase, and I'm sure I don't have to outline the problems with those. So how are we thinking about this from the standpoint of Beacon? Obviously, I mentioned before our smart accounts, which are an account abstraction running on AO. We're super excited about the ability to make this cross-chain and essentially be able to provide things like a safe wallet style smart contract for assets that don't even necessarily have smart contracts capabilities like Bitcoin, things like that. And because of its ability to interact with all of these other networks, the goal is we'll be able to essentially unify all of these networks and chains together into one sort of unified liquidity layer, and do away with the reliance on these bridging products and services that I operate in the kind of way I explained earlier. So, I mean, really quick practical example. Above is the kind of current, I guess, like I say, state of the art. If you have assets on an L2, such as Blast, and you wanted to convert those assets into something on Solana, or stake them in a lending protocol on Solana or something like that, you're going to have 3 entirely separate wallets, one for Blast, one for ETH, one for Sol. You're going to have to make 3 different actions. You lose custody of your assets at 2 points in the flow with these different bridges here. And you also additionally, another kind of big problem, is you have to have 3 additional assets to pay gas fees in, right? So you're going to need Blast ETH to pay fees in. You're going to need to have native ETH, and you're going to have Solana. And I think, well, this is a flow riddled with friction and barriers of entry to the average kind of retail user. So the way we're thinking about this in future is you'll be able to create and construct any transaction or any flow or interaction from any chain to any chain without the requirement of bridges. It will be one click, all from your safe style account abstraction running on AO. You have one wallet, one action. You never lose custody of your assets at any point. And then there will be one kind of fee token, the Beacon token, which we're working on as a gas sponsorship model that we're able to fund the transactions across any of these chains. So what does the kind of next year look like and the future of Beacon? The first kind of additional asset is ETH, which we have kind of finalized over getting natively integrated with the gracious help of the Community Labs guys, who are great. And that should hopefully be going live in the next couple of weeks, leveraging the ECDSA signing. A web interface, which is just something that we've been getting a lot of feedback for. We're currently just live on iOS, but people want to be able to pull up their wallets and manage their assets on a desktop interface, which is great. Further DeFi enrichment. We went live actually yesterday with a native liquid ops integration. So that's now on the App Store. You can go use Beacon to provide liquidity and borrow against your collateral, all within the app. And I think we seem to have just worked through some of our issues that we were having with explaining the concept of a permissionless system to the Apple review team. So I think Bottega should hopefully be going live, which is something we've been kind of working on getting pushed for quite a while now. Android is something that we've been getting a lot of questions about. I get more when Android than when token, which is crazy for Web3. But yeah, like I say, we're working on getting that released hopefully in Q3 of this year, with a couple of kind of beta releases coming. We're aiming for August. Yeah, and then big task from then on is going to be adding as many additional chains as possible, and kind of building out this future state that we're imagining of a kind of cross-chain unified liquidity layer. One final thing that I think we've been working on quite a lot over the last couple of months, kind of in secret and in parallel, is ledger support. I first kind of heard about an issue that some people were having with the kind of deprecated Arweave.app from a conversation a couple of months ago with LTO. So shout out to you for, I guess, being the catalyst for this. And there was an issue with Ledger Nano S and S Plus users on Arweave.app having accrued a bunch of AO tokens in their wallet that, and due to the kind of lack of support for AO on that kind of deprecated service, they're unable to sort of transact them or gain access to them. So we spent the last couple of weeks / a month or five weeks or so working on a custom ledger app that supports both Arweave and fully supports AO messages or signing AO messages. So, I mean, the kind of end state of this is somewhat unclear and to be decided. There's a lot of work to do around, listings with ledgers and things like that. However, if you have a kind of problem or you want to learn about integrating Ledger, getting started with integrating Ledger into your products and services, come and find me. I have a demo knocking about that we can kind of play with. And yeah, that's it.